Okay, so check this out. This was a curbside find, not this. It actually had a little light shade on it, but it was too small. It was one of those light shades that you would normally see over a tiny top, you know, the ones with the tiny little candle flicker candles or light bulbs. That would be normally what you would use that kind of lampshade with. Well, because they used it with a regular light bulb, it had a burn on it on the top, so they threw it out. It's super heavy, it's perfectly good, it's lovely, and as luck would have it, I have an electrician for a father, so I know it's actually okay. It was gorgeous though, and I've been sitting here staring at it forever, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, and then I decided, well, I have to get a new lampshade, let's dictate with that. My consignment shop I normally go to was closed because of COVID. Well, it's a thrift store. So I went ahead and just went to one of the regular stores and I picked up this lampshade, relatively cheap, but clearly 100% boring. I've decided that this was going to dictate what I wanted to do with this, because in my head, I want to make this silver and I want to make this, you know, really dark color to accent its really nice work. But I wanted to make sure I could get a lampshade to match. So I have this plain lampshade, and then finally couldn't come up with ideas, but then like a week or two passed, and guess what? My thrift store opened up, and that's where I found this scarf. It's beautiful. I have no use for a scarf though. I live in Florida. This shirt being over my outfit here, that's considered winter attire. So I'm gonna take this scarf and apply it to this. And here's how I'm gonna do it. For starters, you need to make a template. And what I'm using is, this was a piece of paper that was crammed into something that was delivered to my husband. So you could just buy this at a store and make your template off of that, or you could use newspaper, but I didn't have either and I didn't feel like going to the store, and this is gonna work just fine. The important thing you're trying to do with the template is you wanna make sure it goes from wrap around from the seam to the seam. Okay, now to do the other side. I'm gonna double check. Okay, because of the wrinkles, it may be a little bit hard for the camera to pick up. But I now have my template. Now you have your two choices. You can either give a 2 centimeter, you know, 1/2 inch seam allowance, 1/4 inch probably, seam allowance on either side when you go to cut out the fabric, or you can do it with the paper template you have. You're also gonna give yourself probably about a 2 centimeter on one of these sides, although because my fabric frays a little bit when cut, and I'm gonna have to do a tiny little hem to it, I'm gonna give myself a 1/4 inch on each side so that I can have the excess to fold over and the excess to fold over. You can do it with glue or sewing. Glue obviously would be easier, but I think because I have such a delicate fabric here, I'm probably gonna have to sew too. Keep that in mind when you're shopping for fabrics, but hey, for $2, something this beautiful, yeah, I still got a great deal. Okay, finally got a chance to get back to the project. I have traced a 2 centimeter seam allowance on it, which is roughly 1/2 inch around the whole edge. Now, because of the fabric I've chosen, this is a risk. Like I said, it's a fraying fabric, so I've had to give my seam allowance all the way around. What you're gonna do with those seam allowances, depending on the fabric, is if it's a thicker fabric, you're gonna go ahead and glue it into place, but in this case, because it's a thinner fabric, I'm gonna cut this out and I'm gonna go sew it. Okay, so here it is. This is what I attempted to do, and I still love the fabric, but as you can see, this is super uneven, bumpy, and then the edges here also kind of on the sloppy side. And I wouldn't mind it, you know, inside out, because who's looking inside the lampshade? But when you see it hanging, you'll see little divots and there's some wrinkling, and it's just, the camera might not pick it up, but it is not looking good. So I'm gonna take it all off. So I still had my paper that I had cut out, the pattern, so that saved me some time getting the new one. And as you can see though, it is much lighter and much more see-through-y than the last version, but that might mean it will lay down really nicely. Again, all right, so now I'm going to go ahead and start using my decoupage to stick this on. I have started, as you should always start, at the seam of the lamp. So I've started at my seam, and I'm just going to work my way around it. One thing I learned from the previous time doing this is what looks wrinkly on it while it's wet is going to look wrinkly on it when it's dry. Okay, so it is looking lovely around every other side. Trying to make the ends match up though. Not looking so pretty. All right, one last tour. It looks smooth and bubble free, and obviously it's getting late enough at night. I'm gonna call it an end. This should dry. Tomorrow I'll come back and try to get all of these guys folded and tucked in nicely. I could work on it tonight, but it's getting a little late. All right. Hey, so we have completed the lovely decoupage. It worked wonderfully on the fabric, and it came off beautifully, except for my kids really don't like it. And while yes, I know I always say it's going to be my future craft room when they go off to college, for the time being, it's still their room that I'm hoping to put this lovely lamp in. So, as luck would have it, I went off to a thrift store down the street, so it's nice that it benefits, you know, not just what I'm doing, but also it helps the people that when I purchase something. And I found this lovely little dress. It is a dress that my kids wouldn't wear. It also, oh Lord, you know, I've been trying to work out and exercise and stuff like that, but I don't think I'm gonna get back to its size anymore. But it's got a beautiful pattern. So I checked with the children, they're happy, they like it. So this is what we're going for. Take number 3. But the routine is going to be exactly the same as what you've already seen. All right, the cleanup was great because it gave me some info I needed. For starters, it isn't a solid metal lamp. This is definitely metal. You can hear the ting-ting in it. But the base is not. So this pretty flower, everything like this. The reason I know it is because I've seen some chips on it, and that's every indication that it's just a ceramic base, which is good news because that means it will paint up real nicely. This will be the big challenge, the metal paint, but light sand, same process I'm going to do down here. It's the priming that's going to make all the difference on this. Every project you do, always recommend that you prime it first because yes, that's an extra step, but it's a step that saves you so many other steps further down the line, and it ensures longevity of whatever work you've done. Well, technically, I could call it a day. I've got my lamp, the finally, third time's a charm. They are happy with this and I am too. But it's got such interesting details, I'm gonna paint something on it. However, if you wanted to stop at this point, all you would have to do is put a top coat on it or a wax. Now, there is a difference between getting a wax or top coat because a top coat, usually your polyurethanes, they tend to yellow when you put it on something white. Now, as it happens, the room that this is going in is a little on the creamy side, so I don't think I mind it, except for that would mess with the shade. So I would rather put a wax on this part. This part's gonna stay away, but I am gonna paint this part. I'll be moving the camera to show you more of that, but I will say the easiest thing to do if you're thinking about getting started in painting, I went to Michael's, hey, and I got these paints. They're acrylic, and it's a great starter kit. They're really small, but the nice thing is once you start getting used to painting, my mom was big on painting portraits and everything like that, you can then see which colors you really use a lot of or you prefer. So start out with the simple, small kit. Go with that first. It'll be perfect for a project like this. And if you absolutely start to love painting, well, by all means, expand more. Now, for the most part, with this wax, I'm going to be using a lint-free cloth, aka an old t-shirt. I'm going to take it, get a little swipe of it. That's always too much. I always just use the top of my lid. You could use paper plate and you'd be fine. And just going to rub it in. Now, because this piece has a lot of detail work, I'm also using, pick these up at Michael's, some tiny little brushes.